I'm into something good was good because we were like, what they did, well, you see, nobody knew what was going to happen, so they were making a movie and it was called Fab Gear or something ridiculous. It was called Go, I think. Something totally, doesn't even sound like it's going to be. And it was like, everybody went into a studio in Wardour Street with a move, it was a camera there, and they got the animals walked around singing The House of the Rising Sun. And you know, the animals didn't walk around really well. They'd never done that before. So they're walking around singing The House of the Rising Sun. Herman's Hermits are singing I'm Into Something Good. And I was just clapping my hands, and it's not well lit. And we look almost like Indians. We don't look like white people in it. And then they had all these bands who all showed up, and it came out. And the headliner was Matt Monro. Matt Monro, Herman's Hermits, the Beatles, the Animals. And then the people who made the movie didn't even know that the Beatles were going to be... If you saw the Beatles when I saw the Beatles in 1963, you knew that the world was going to be different forever. Forever. And I saw hundreds of bands, but I never saw one that ever went, oh, the world's going to be different forever. So I stood in a field in Urmston, which is like a field. It was like 500 yards from my grandmother's house, and the Beatles did a concert there. And they weren't even the headliners. And they came on the stage, and I was with Alan Wrigley, who was the bass player. And the Beatles came on, and they started doing the first song. And they were really loud, and Alan Wrigley looked at me and he said, "We're fucked." I said, "What do you mean we're fucked?" And he couldn't explain why we were fucked. He meant he was going to quit show business is what he meant. And then Paul McCartney sang, "There were bells." And he said to me, "The fucking bastard. He sings as well." That's how much better they were than everybody else. And that was a defining moment to me, that this guy was about to quit the business because these people were so much better than him that in 200 years he wouldn't be able to practice enough to be as good as they were now. And that was like, oh. And then, you know, Ringo was in the band, and it was like tight, and they kind of danced, and, you know, they shared the mic and everything, stuff that we'd never seen. We'd only seen the Shadows and people, dun, 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 and the defining words, "We're fucked." And that was how much better they were than everybody else that we'd ever seen. And remember, there were loads of great bands around. The Hollies were around. There were a great band as well, the Undertakers, Screaming Lord Such, were all fabulous entertainers, but the package, I think the Beatles opened it. I didn't say, it was inspirational to me. I don't want to be a musician, but I bet I can sing Bells on a Hill and songs like that. I never thought to do songs like that. I'm glad we don't do Roll Over Beethoven, because we'll never do it as good as that. You know, let's get some other songs. Let's do songs that they won't do. We'll find different types of songs. We'll go romantic. We'll go I'll Never Dance Again, and ballads, and Mrs. Brown, You Got a Lovely Daughter, and Henry the Eighth. We'll do all that stuff, because Beatles would never do that. In 1965, we sold more records than anybody in the world. It was amazing, isn't it? But I think they were in the studio making Sgt. Pepper. But that's just me trying to throw away my compliment. Yeah, we sold more records than anybody. Great. Good year.
Every day is